big news that could change tech hiring worldwide. The White House has announced a new rule that forces employers to pay 100,000 with certain H1B petitions. This is huge. Let me explain everything step by step. On September 19, 2025, the president issued a proclamation titled Restriction on Entry on Certain Non-Immigrant Workers. It says 100,000 payment must accompany some H1B petitions for workers who are currently outside the United States. You can actually see this video for that.
One of the most abused visa systems in our current immigration system has been the H1B non-immigrant visa program. This is supposed to allow highly skilled laborers who work in fields that Americans don't work in to come into the United States of America. What this proclamation will do is raise the fee that companies pay to sponsor H1B applicants to $100,000. This will ensure that the people they're bringing in are actually very highly skilled and that they're not replaceable by American workers. So it'll protect American workers, but ensure that companies have a pathway to hire truly extraordinary people and bring them to the United States.
We need workers. We need workers. We need great workers. And this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land, train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs. That's the policy here, $100,000 a year for H1B visas, and all of the big companies are on board. We've spoken to them about the gold card.
They love it. They love it. They really love it. They need it. Go ahead, Sean.
The White House and agency guidance say this fees does not apply to people who already hold H1B visas inside the US, and it should not apply to renewals for current holders. That means renewals and existing employees are for now excluded. Who's targeted? New petitions filed on behalf of workers who are outside the US. For example, people being hired abroad who would get consular processing. It's not aimed at people already in the country on H1B status. Now the practical effect. H1B is how US companies bring in thousands of engineers, data scientists, and other specialists at a one-time 100,000 per new hire, and the math changes instantly. For example, a small company hiring 2 mid-level engineers from abroad suddenly faces 200,000 in extra fees, on top of recruitment, relocation, and legal costs. For startups and many teams, that makes bringing people to the US unaffordable or unrealistic. Here is the cost per hiring before and after these changes. Immediately after the proclamation, major employers warn staff to be careful about international travel and pause some visa travel. Because of uncertainty about who would be affected, agencies and employers are issuing guidance right now, and that uncertainty alone disrupts hiring and projects. There are 3 likely corporate responses. 1. Hire locally, increase domestic recruiting, and pay higher wages where possible. Hire remotely, keep the employee in India or Europe and let them work for the US company from there. Expand offshore centers. Open or expand R&D hubs in India and EU where talent is cheaper and easier to access. All 3 reduce the number of foreign workers relocated to the US, and they change where innovation happens. Now, effect on India and global tech. Because Indian nationals make up a large share of H1B applicants, India stands to gain if US companies hire and build teams there instead. That means more high-paying jobs, more R&D, and faster growth in India's tech ecosystem. A structural shift, similar to how China scaled up in earlier decades. This isn't guaranteed, but it's a clear risk for US competitiveness. Watch for 3 things next. 1. Agency implementing rules for DHS and the State Department. 2. Lawsuits from companies or trade groups challenging the proclamation. And 3. Detailed exceptions for national interest or critical roles that agencies may carve out. These details will determine the real impact. Bottom line, this new 100,000 H1B fee may protect some jobs in the short term, but it risks pushing talent and innovation abroad. especially to India and Europe, that could weaken US tech competitiveness in the long run. I'll keep following the updates as DHS and State Department releases more details. If you found this breakdown useful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future explainers. And let me know in the comments, do you think this rule protects American workers? Or is it a self-goal for US tech? Till then, bye. See you in the next one.